Hello and welcome to Inside Salem. I'm your host, Mike Allen. On this show, we try to go behind the headlines and for some of the backstory for what's happening around town and things you might not read in the newspaper or just hear on the street. And for that purpose, we assembled a group of people who are in the know. We have Teasie Riley-Goggin, political analyst. We have Domingo Dominguez, former Counselor at Large, and Tom Furey, former Counselor at Large, former school committee member, and current planning board member. Welcome all. So some of the topics we'll be talking about, of course, is the results of the primary, which was held yesterday in Salem. Today is Wednesday, September 17th, and so therefore the election was yesterday, so we do have a list of those people who are going to be on the November ballot. We'll be talking about the wind project, the funding for that, and we'll be talking about students sort of being in favor of a new MCAS in a way, because they're looking for sort of a test that's similar to that.
Could I just one thing here before we get started? I would like to express our sympathy from the board and to Joan Lovely and Steve and the family on the loss of Joan's sister, Jackie, Jackie Lamb, Jackie Bogerman Lamb. Her husband is a vet in Manchester by the Sea.
Okay.
And she passed away a few days ago.
Ah, okay. Okay, our sympathies go out to them and to the family. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, so let's talk about the election. We had 4 wards of where there were had more than 2 people in the ward. We did not have a primary for mayor, council at large, school committee, Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 7. So in the wards that were contested, we had the incumbent, Cynthia Jersla, okay, who is the incumbent, and she will face off against Erin
Tepkowski or something?
Tarofsky.
Yeah, but
the print is way too small on this screen.
Didn't Cynthia come out in second to her?
Yep.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
In Ward 2, we have former city councilor, former councilor at large, Bill DeGo, finishing second to Andrew Smith, and they will be on the November ballot. And then in Ward 5, we have Lydia King finishing ahead of Zachary Calderon. And in Ward 6, we had Caitlin Holapa finishing ahead of Robert Camille. Those are the ones that were in the primary. Also appearing on the ballot, uncontested for mayor, Dominic Pangallo. We have 5 candidates for 4 seats at council at large. We have John Harvey, who's the current Ward 4 city councilor. And the rest of the people are incumbents: Kyle Davis, Alice Merkel, Conrad Przniewski, and Ty Hapworth. In Ward 3, we will have a new councilor from Ward 3. We have Jason Sidorak, I believe, and Kevin Doherty. In Ward 4, we have former Ward 4 City Councilor Timothy Flynn. He will be facing off against Emmylou Manuel. And in Ward 7, Andrew Varela is running unopposed. For school committee, we have Megan Stott, who was the current Ward 6 City Councilor. She's running for school committee. We have Beth Ann Cook Cornell, incumbent. We have Alexis Mercia, Sharon Redboard, and Yemily Bias. I believe the only incumbent on there is Beth Ann Cornell. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So we're going to have 2 new school committee members as well. Okay.
Well, we had what, an 11% turnout?
Well, that's, that was one of the things I was going to point out. That was, that was true, but false. 11% turnout, but 3 of the wards didn't vote. It was 11% of the overall voting public, but 3 of the wards didn't have any, wards 3, 4, and 7 did not go. So the thing is this, it really was more like a 22% turnout, which is sort of typical of a primary when there's no citywide office on top.
Yeah, but I also wanted to point that, regardless of that, which is a good point that you made, I think the enthusiasm and the promotion of this year primary was a little bit low.
Okay.
I hear a lot of people who did not really be reached out. They, at this point, say it was an election yesterday because no one approached then. And, and I had to say it because that's one of my major points, and former Councilor Ton might agree with me. We try to make sure that we make everybody aware that there is an election by having different way, promoting the candidate, meeting the people, making noise. Because I think one of the things that we're missing here in Salem is that we need to have a machine that help increase the voter turnout every election. So everybody get involved. So we have more candidates, every year, so we can have more competition, so we can really, really exercise the democratic right that we have in the city of Salem. If we drop that, if we let that go down, at the end, we're going to be losing a lot of our potential candidates that we have in the city of Salem. We need to make sure that every year we increase the voting turnout.
But you always push in that we should do it now, how important the primary is, Mike.
Yeah. Well, again, it is, because it's setting up who's going to be going on to the final thing. Unfortunately, in Salem, the past for quite a while now, it really has been one way, and so people are sort of like saying, why bother? Because when something comes up, we know there's going to be some sort of proposal to build this dense property with housing. Well, we know that the city's going to push for it, and it gets its way. The administration pushes for it, and it gets done. And so the people, in a way, have disengaged from the voting process because they feel that their vote doesn't matter because the fix is in to an extent on these issues. How many? Just think. We talk about. I'm going to call it Crombie Street, but it's not Crombie Street. Lifebridge. Yes. It used to be called Crombie Street, Church and whatever, and then became Lifebridge. So Lifebridge is going to build in that neighborhood, and no one in the neighborhood is favor it. Very few people around the city are in favor of it. The only thing people are in favor of it are the elected officials. So people, when they're coming time to vote, are saying, why bother? I don't know. It's sort of a tough thing. Why bump your head against the wall?
Yeah, but I think it needs to be changed. I think that we need to change that mentality. We need to continue to fight for the rights and for the thing that's really, really bothered the quality of life where we live at. And we need to teach the new generation that is by getting involved, by being in competition and try to be any side. In this case, maybe what you just mentioned, is by being voting and make sure that we elect the people that are really going to represent everybody. The entire city. So we have to encourage people to continue to fight, do not give up. I know what you're talking about, but I think if we don't fight, we don't go out and vote. This is the only tool that we have to make the change possible is by going and vote. And if we don't exercise that right, there's no hope.
Yeah, the thing is this, no candidate running against the mayor, no candidate running against Ward 7 councillor. Everything else is contested. But again, I can understand why people aren't, and that's part of the reason why we have this show. We have this show to get people engaged in what's happening, rather than just the headlines. But there was very low key in terms of promotion for it. Now, when you were running, you were out there early and often. When you were running, you were out there early and often. When I was running, I was out there early and often.
I was out there early and often.
And when you ran, you were out early and often. And so the thing is this, we were all out there knocking on doors, at least, I ran both in ward and I also ran at large. And so when I was running in ward, it was just in, one group of neighborhoods. But, I was trying to drive the vote out. Actually, if they didn't want to vote for me, I didn't try to get them out there to vote. But I was trying to get them out to vote, for the primary, because it was a contested primary, because that's what needed to be done. But, again, we have now had a long stretch of basically uncompetitiveness, and with and it's going to take something to get the system back. In 1997, I believe, we had a mayoral race in November, not in the primary, but we had a mayoral race of what was considered a popular incumbent who was very strong. However, the weekend before that election, we had gridlock in the city of Salem from Halloween. And the mayor, the sitting mayor at that time, was very pro-Halloween. He lost all 14 precincts, including his own, to a challenger who was not considered to be a strong challenger, because the challenger ran on Halloween is out of control. And so, therefore, that would, so there has to be an issue like that, before. Okay, when I was coming here today, on my way home from being out at Highland Avenue, the street light at Market Basket to the street light at Wilson Street, I'm not sure how long that is, but we're talking less than a half a mile. It took 15 minutes to go there. I did not see an accident. I did not see any road construction. And I'm saying to myself, we're only mid-September. What is it going to be like a month from now? Yeah. I like to travel on Highland Ave regularly, so it's, it's making me a little nervous. But we need, something like that needs to happen for the people to say, wait a second, we just can't vote for the status quo anymore. And that's what they're doing. They're voting for the status quo.
Well, the other thing is I'm hoping that there will be somebody out there. I look, to a couple of different areas that people usually pick up the gauntlet and run with it.
Yeah.
And for the mayor, no one is running against him, but I think that we should have some type of mayor's audience or something where he's up there and answers questions to the voters.
Yeah.
What's his platform? What's he pushing?
Well,
this?
Again, I'm not. For one thing, see, I'm not all that big on that. I don't mind that, but what he says is immaterial, and what he does is what's important. And
Right.
he's been in office now for, in effect, almost 2 years. It was a year and a half ago he was elected. He was sort of, he was the mayor's assistant, so, he had a period before that, the prior mayor's assistant. So between that, we have a pretty good idea of what his positions are. So for him to sit down and say, I'm in favor of, bringing more affordable housing, or I'm in favor of, decreasing traffic or increasing parking, well, that's all well and good, but he's in power. And that's why when I used to do my candidate forums, and I will not be doing it this year, it's too time consuming, and I just don't have the time to do it.
Oh, you're not doing it. I'm sorry to hear that.
You're going to miss it.
I struggled with the idea of it, and I just, because we have a lot of open seats, so it's really, I asked the director here at SATV if there's someone is, stepping forward. Bill Legault was also someone who would interview the candidates, but because he is a candidate himself this time, he won't be doing that. So it's really unfortunate that not that there's going to be neighborhood debates, and there's going to be neighborhood forums, and there's going to be the SATV where you do a presentation. So there's going to be lots of ways, and the newspaper will cover the different candidates and what their statements are. But the idea of, 'cause, again, I had a narrow view. I looked and said, okay, what are you doing for, but what is it? Pretty much always, how about spending? How about development? And those were the key things, spending and development. I always had like a third question as well, but it really broke down to spending, what our spending patterns are, and what our development how we.
Does anyone know why some of the people that were going to support the Women League of Voters debate that they were going to have, and so they pulled away from it? And I guess some of the questions. Does anyone know why people pulled away from it?
The candidates pulled away from the.
Well, some of the people in the wards that were going to go with the Women League of Voters and give support to it and bring candidates and things.
Yeah.
They pulled away, and I guess it was something about the questions that the Women League of Voters had.
Okay.
But I never heard what they were. I didn't know if anyone else had.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really consider the League of Women Voters a
Neither do
neutral organization. Yeah, it's just they have an agenda, and so therefore it's likely their questions had an agenda. I mean, my questions had an agenda, again, and I told people in advance what my questions were. They were, again, having to do with development, having to do with spending and taxes, and that was what they were each time. But
it's been 6 years since I was on the city council.
Yeah.
And in 6 years since I've stepped down and did not seek re-election, it's a brand new city council. Totally brand new city council. In this new election in November, we'll have possibly 5 new members.
Okay.
5 new members.
It's possibly we could have
Possible.
Even more, but we're going to have at least 4 new members, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And on the school committee, when you think of it, there may be 3 new members.
Well, there could be 3, but
We
you're
have
going to
Jim
have
Fleming,
at least
Mary
2
Manning's gone,
Yeah.
Christine Pengello's gone.
Right. You're going to have at least 2 new members, right?
So it's fresh change. So the voters need to
Yeah.
be engaged, be active, be
Yeah.
educated. Your forum was very good. This is very good right here. So this is where the rubber hits the road for democracy, local democracy. The final election with no incumbent mayor seeking competition, we're going to have a lower turnout. So the more people that vote, their votes will be counted 4 or 5 times, actually. Their vote is going to be very powerful in November.
Not counted toward, but
very
but
powerful.
will have the impact.
Impact is better, yes.
More,
It's the person that gets the vote out that's going to take it. Get
So
the
the thing
vote out.
is this, each candidate then, and this is particularly true in the wards, because in a ward you have a much smaller number of people that you need to get out to win. I mean, the candidates really need to go out and make sure
That's right.
they identify who their voters are and get them to go vote. I mean, that's the key strength, is that's how you can get in there. And again, I talk about, say, bias with League of Women Voters. Well, this show is biased. I mean, I have an agenda. I stated right off the top. I'm in favor of lower taxes. I'm in favor of less development, and some of those.
It's impossible not to have one side in a race based on the fact that you live here and you have some interest, something affect you, something don't affect you, and I think that everybody had that, even though do not really publicly say it. But one thing is to have that, which is what you wanted to see, what you envision to see in a city that you live, or neighborhood that you live. But on the other hand, to see the common, to get the full agenda to move forward. We all wanted the city to move forward. We want everyone to see the city where we live in a very discongested way on traffic, for example. Better parking space.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be for one group of people only. This is in general. So in general, you wanted to see that to happen, you need to get involved, at least go out and vote.
Yeah.
And that's my point.
And
make sure that if you wanted to put your name in the ballot, let's work hard to make sure that the most people can come and vote, even against or in favor of you.
Yeah. Now, again, people who disagree with me, doesn't make them bad people.
No.
They have a different vision of what they're looking at Salem. And again, we fight over it at the ballot box. This is how we do it. We go there and we say, okay, I'm going to vote for the person who says that I want to have 2,000 apartments built at Shetland Park. And there's other candidates that is going to say, wait a second, we want to really cut that back. And and that's the thing, and it is. So listen to what their end game is, and listen to what their philosophy is, and that way there you can make an informed decision you vote, because it really is important. I know that I started off with saying why we only have as they say 11% in the newspaper. It's really in effect twice that, because only half the city voted. Only half the city was allowed to vote. Never mind, they chose not to vote. Only half the city was, in effect, allowed to vote. So basically you're talking over 20% turnout rather than the 11% turnout that was reported in the newspaper. So the thing is, and with the lower turnout, your vote counts more. So
very true.
Really, find that candidate, and there'll be on SATV, there will be candidate forums, there'll be individual things with a person standing in front of a podium for 10 minutes and, either reading or giving a bit of a speech, campaign speech, to say what their positions are. So that's a good start. But
two big issues that will be confronted as we vote in November. Shetland Park, the rezoning of Shetland Park, the biggest development in the city, in the history of the city of Salem, is that development, and a $500 million high school. So it's very critical for the voters to vote, because this is where we have to make decisions in the next couple of years. Shetland Park, brand new facility that will affect the whole city, schools, infrastructure, transportation, a $500 million new high school, or a $450 million renovation. Whatever it's going to be, it's going to affect everyone.
I thought that was decided upon. No.
What's that?
The high school.
The high school will be decided sometime in next year in a special override.
Oh, right. We have to have an override vote.
But you're voting for the candidates now who support that endeavor.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If Jim was here right now, he'll jump all over me, because right now, because of the economy and what's going on, and people are really struggling with the way the inflation has set in tremendously, and to make ends meet, that the idea of the taxes continue to go up, and with a new school, we said that was close to 200 or close to a $500 million or something.
$500 million.
Yeah.
$1.5 billion.
And right now.
For 1,500 students or something?
13.
I know
1,300
Jim
students.
said that, but the whole thing is, I think that's when they contemplated bringing a middle school in. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, again,
but they're not going to.
The project is going to be $450 to $500 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where we are. I mean, it's not like there's some other project out there for $100 million. Again, I just don't understand the logic. I don't understand the cost of this, how it can be so high. And I also don't understand the logic that says for the city of Salem, we should have a $500 million high school only, not all the buildings, all the school buildings in Salem, but a $500 million with a B. I can't emphasize that too much.
Well, right now, all right. I mentioned earlier about the kiosks in some of the parking areas, and they have green bags over, and said that you can't use them because the equipment right now is old and needs to be replaced.
Right.
And this is the busiest time in all the whole year,
Yeah, but
September
they're
and
not going to
October.
replace it.
And we can't afford to replace equipment that is going to bring money into the
Well,
city.
actually, no. What they're doing is they're forcing, and most people have a smartphone and therefore can get an app. If you don't have a smartphone, you can't get apps. But if you have a smartphone, you can get apps. And what they're basically forcing everyone to do to get an app. I mean, just like the NFL is forcing everyone on Thursday night to have something other than regular cable, or to watch Thursday night football. So they're saying to the public, 90% of the public have smartphones, and so therefore, if you want to park in Salem, we're going to require this because we don't want to spend money for new equipment.
Yeah, but the only thing
it used
is
to be that you had a credit card you could stick into the
That's right.
into the meters,
Nice and
and they
easy.
did away with those because they were too expensive.
Yep.
And then to have meters where you put money in them, again, there's an expense to the city. So in effect, this is very cost effective for the city of Salem.
But I want to know, the Transportation Traffic Commission, where did they get their training coming up with some of the things that they decided to do and put in place?
Yeah, that's true about any of the boards.
Because right now, we're going to have people coming from tourists all over.
Yeah.
And some rent cars, some people drive here.
And most of them are using an app to do something. So
And they can't register their car. They can't register. They're not from the city of Salem.
Right, no, you can download the app. It's
Technology actually is getting in advance, not only in that regard but everywhere, with the artificial intelligence is going to move a little bit more faster. It's a generation thing that is been in place, which I understand what Teasie tried to bring here, but on the other hand, I also understand that it's moving through that direction, and cost-effective is involved, technology is involved, and the new generation is involved. Most of the new generation, they know how to deal with all of those new things.
Yeah.
The other generation might be going to take a little while to adapt. Yeah. That transition going to take time, but sometimes to wait for that transition to take time, it costs a lot of money to a system to be in place, and that's what happened here in the city of Salem.
Actually, I do want to back up a bit here. We sort of jumped into this subject without any sort of letting the public know what we were talking about, out of the audience. The city of Salem just recently announced that in most of their places, their lots, they're doing away with a kiosk where you go and put in your thing and pay, and you get a little piece of paper, you put it on your dashboard. And it's all done by an app now. Now, they still can park in the garage, and there's certain places you can park where you still put money in the meters and things like that. But in the Line Street parking lot, or what most of the old-time residents know as the Almings parking lot, not Line Street, Church Street parking lot. But most of the residents, the old-time residents, know it as the Almings parking lot. That is no longer going to be. You're not going to be able to pay to park there. You by going to a machine and whatever. You're going to have to do it on your phone with an app, and that is what the subject we sort of jumped in sideways to, that we were talking about before we went on air, and that's why we sort of did that. But anyway. Okay,
but they
yes,
have it down,
it's much more efficient for the city of Salem. So it is better for the taxpayers of Salem. It is much, much cheaper for the city of Salem. Now, they're going to lose some revenue because they're going to give a ticket to someone from New Mexico because they didn't have an app. And but on the other hand, overall, they're going to make more money by not having to have equipment that they have to check and whatever. They would physically go down and check it and all that type of thing. So it is going to be much more efficient for the city of Salem to do it this way. And I am not able to do apps, so it's not like I'm in favor of that per se, but
see,
I understand it.
I think it takes away from what I call transparency.
Okay.
I really think a lot of the things, if you want transparency in your city government, then you're going to have to spend some money for it.
Okay.
Right now, even our police department, as of the first week in September, went dark, went sock. They no longer broadcast everything that comes into the dispatches. They've gone coded.
Okay.
And how that's going to end up, and they have announced finally that one of the reasons that they did it was because it was for the safety of their officers.
Okay.
Well, in turn, someone from Florida named Mark Goggin, he immediately got on the horn and put into Salem that the fire department has had 2 or 3 channels that they would report things on. They didn't always let things out. In other words, they weren't broadcasting a big fire so that people would go running to it.
Right, okay.
There's a way of doing it. And the police also, they all carry phones. They all have other ways of doing it.
Right, which is new compared to the old days. In other words,
yes,
before people didn't have phones in their pocket.
But we don't have the reporting that's going on in the city now that we had even now on the police channels. Yeah, so transparency is very important. That's
But safety
what's
of
lacking.
our officers is very important. In today's environment, there's just there's safety issues. So I can understand the concern. It's hard to find that balance maybe, but it just seems like if I'm a police officer responding to something, I just as soon show up and just have to deal with that. I don't want to have a crowd there, protesting this side or the other side. So I don't know. So.
Well, our police department right now, not only here in Salem, but all throughout, they're not getting the people running to take the exam and becoming policemen. They're looking now for people who have had training or people who have had anything to do with some type of security that could help out because they need more backup, and they don't have it.
Okay, Tom, I'm going to toss this to you at the very beginning of the show, but because of the election, that took priority. What's happening in the planning board in terms of the projects that we normally talk about? Anything?
We grew up with Jerry's Army Navy store on the corner of Summer
Yep.
Street and Essex Street, and that was the go-to place over the years,
Yeah.
Jerry's Army Navy store. It's
Which
now
for many years now was a consignment shop.
consignment shop.
Yeah.
And it's more a T-shirt shop now, a T-shirt shop.
okay.
So it's gone before the planning board, which I'm a member of the planning board. And at the last meeting of the planning board, they now changed it to have T-shirts down below, part T-shirts, a store, a restaurant, maybe a pub, different things going on down in the first commercial part of the Jerry's Army Navy store. My son worked there when he was in high school, one of my sons. And 3.5 floors will be added to Jerry's store across the street from the Witch House. 3.5 stories. Some will have patios, 6 2-bedrooms. 6 2-bedrooms.
Yeah.
And most of these units will be micro units.
Okay.
Smaller than they may be a bachelor pad.
Like a studio kind?
A studio, smaller. And they'll get more money for that situation. There's 30 going to be anticipated for this development to take place. And no cars will go out onto Summer Street, which is a relief to the planning board and to the citizens of Salem to have cars, a parking lot, a garage below Jerry's, come out onto Summer Street would be kamikaze, dangerous.
Right, yeah.
And so no parking. The people that will park there who want to park will go to either the PBD Essex Museum across the street, the main parking lot, or this one down the street from SATV, or park along in some of the residential
So there's not
areas.
going to be any parking on site?
None.
Did you do the hard hat walkthrough at the
Yes, I did.
Hawthorne?
I did last Tuesday. I did the walkthrough at the Immaculate Conception School, the old St. Mary's, on Hawthorne Boulevard. And for many of us, it was a parochial school, then turned into a public school.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be turned into 27 lofts for artists.
Yeah.
They'll have artist studios in the gym, cubicles, where they can perform art, sculpture, painting, whatever they want to do. And they'll live there in their different 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments. And they'll park in the garage across the street. Some of them will park in the garage.
Oh, I'm interested.
Are they stretching these garages out? I mean, the garages are full now, so how are they, and they're not parking in the garage across the street, because the garage is full across the street. So they're going to be fighting with the neighbors for parking spaces, or it is a wink, wink, nod, nod, that if you have a car, you can't rent there. So therefore, they're getting around the idea of even one car per, unit.
That's the direction. That is the direction.
And,
That's the direction.
and basically they're saying that we don't want to have cars in Salem. That's one of the things that's going to be on the ballot, in effect, not in that so many words, but indirectly. A lot of this development, this is a question that I would recommend asking any of the candidates that are asking you for your vote, ask them what they feel about parking requirements for development. It used to be two
I'm
per
interested.
unit, and then it went to 1.5 per unit, and now they're talking about making it 1 per unit, and then in many of these projects, there's 0 per unit with, oh yeah, they can park in this parking garage. Well, they've sold this parking garage 20 times over.
Yes, they have.
There's 27 units in the Immaculate
But
Reception.
I want to know,
Hold on.
27 units, is
Let
it a
him finish.
sliding
Let Tom
scale
finish.
or what?
Let Tom finish what he's thinking about.
There's 27 units.
Yeah.
250 people applied already.
Yep.
250. St. James, next to the community center, Council on Aging, 250 people applied for that. St. James, which will be ready sometime in November, December. 27 units, 250.
And these are both low income. 100%
Moderate,
low?
low income. Not necessarily all low, no.
Oh, okay.
They'll be moderate. Artists are not always low.
Okay.
And the Council on Aging one will be moderate and low. Moderate.
Okay.
Moderate.
Okay.
So they'll be nice. They'll be very nice. Drop dead
Okay.
beautiful. I wouldn't mind living in the Immaculate Reception. Also, I'm looking forward to the tour of St. James, part of the planning board. So
Yeah.
it's really neat. Who would ever believe 2 old parochial schools
Yeah.
turned into housing?
Yeah,
It's
well,
amazing.
they turned into many public schools, particularly in Beverly. I mean,
Yep,
in Beverly,
exactly.
there's just all these old public schools were converted to
Yes,
housing.
quite a few,
Yeah.
quite a few.
And also in Peabody, I believe, as well.
The old high school, Briscoe Junior High School is
Yeah.
housing now.
Yeah.
But
Amazing.
did they give you any idea on that sliding scale where it would start or where it would end for the Horizontal School?
Money wise?
How
Rent
much?
wise? What's your question?
The 27 studio apartments.
Yes.
It's sliding scale, but did they give you any idea approximately what they figured they were going to get for them?
No, not exactly yet. They'll see when they get 250 to draw it down to 27, and they'll tell the 27, this is the market value of your house according to your income and so on.
Right, yeah.
So on.
And when
Average
will
income.
they be ready to move into?
They're almost ready now. I think the Immaculate Reception will be ready sometime in November, December for actual opening. And St. James will be opened, people
they do-
moving in,
how do they
probably
do-
December, January.
How do they choose the people? They go by lottery or just?
Good question. It's 250 already.
Yeah.
So it's the CDC, the Community Development Corporation, that's located on Lafayette Street, across the street from Wendy's,
Yeah.
and they'll have maybe a lottery type process, qualification-wise. That's a good question, Domingo.
There's a lot of complaining to that because when it comes to a lottery, many people don't know exactly how they choose who they choose. And many people who apply at the beginning tend not to be selected, and most of the people that are being selected are from the outside community, which is at the end, the community that was expecting to be served was not really choose to be taking advantage of that apartment. So it's a very tricky process.
Well, again, there was, questions about Saltonstall School, which at one time was a different year and day, etc. And again, they had a lottery system there, but it just seems those people that were connected just happened to get picked out of the lottery. And so, yeah, it's a valid
point, yeah.
question
Yeah.
to ask that.
Transparency.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Even the old St. Joseph's Church, which is now housing in a commercial downstairs, there was about 150 people applied for that, but maybe about 40 units
Yeah.
there. So it's a long process. And I don't know how they
Okay.
narrow it down. Good question.
Yeah. So what is what's happening other than that those two projects there?
And-
Any word on the start of the Crescent Lot project?
That's been given the green light by the Salem Housing Authority, which runs downtown Salem, the Salem
Yeah.
Housing Authority that has the power
Yeah.
of the downtown district. That's considered part of the downtown district. So you got the green light by
Isn't Salem redevelopment?
Salem redevelopment.
Yeah,
yes,
not
you are
housing.
exactly
Okay,
right.
yeah.
Thank
Salem
you very much,
redevelopment.
Mike.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a board, professional board, very well
Yeah.
managed. I think Neil Hamilton's daughter was the chairperson.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it's a very good board. So they got the green light. So I think they're going to do infrastructure to the piping and stuff like that to the river and so on, but for it to take place to see whether the overpass that we all take for granted, is that capable for all that construction,
Yeah.
all that power and blasting and everything. So they have to test the overpass to see whether that can take that impact of all that major construction in the courthouses and in the Crescent lot. So it's going to be a lot of. But I think we're going to see progress sometime
And the
in December,
Crescent
January.
lot, just to reiterate for those who don't know what we mean by that, that's the lot that's next to the MBTA parking garage.
Yes.
It belongs to the city. It's referred to as Crescent lot because of its shape. And again, they're going to be building 110 units there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Housing 5 stories.
I think 4 or 5 stories. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Commercial down below.
Yeah.
But they only have one exit, right?
They can't. Fire prevention would require a couple.
Well, you mean a street exit, right?
Yeah.
For cars, yeah.
I mean, that
because-
floods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's the infrastructure. will be done.
I don't recall that ever flooding that area. I mean, I know that it's in the
Oh, it is.
floodplain, but I don't recall. In other words, I don't recall the MBTA parking lot, which used to be just a surface parking lot, ever flooding. So I don't. Again, I know that people.
part
talk
of the property is being declared a wetland.
Yeah.
So they're going to build in a wetland property where it's actually not ready to be built on.
Yeah.
It's like saying you put your fish in a glass of water, what happens? And the big thing is, once they put up 110 apartments there and take up that land, the water won't have a place to go.
Well,
it's all
in fact,
taken.
right now it's paved over, so the water doesn't have a place to go now. It's a non-permeable surface. It's one thing if it was like grassland or whatever, and they put a parking lot over it, that would create an issue. But right now it's impermeable. It's still going to be impermeable. I don't see that worsening because of this building. I see many other things.
No, but they're going to hot top. This is what happened down at the O'Keefe Center, down there on Canal Street.
Yeah.
When they hot topped for the college down there, all the way along. I know, I live up there, and we had never really and truly had much problem with water. And certain people in the area, definitely, because Canal Street is what it is, a canal. And underneath there's water. And once they hot topped over it, that very large parking lot, it affected the neighborhood.
Okay.
The water seeks, freedom.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any other of the projects that we've talked about?
Well, Salem State's is coming on board. The South Campus at Salem State will be coming. The Bates Dome is coming down. The beautiful Bates Dome that I grew up with, and they're going to come down, and housing would take place there. Avalon developers and wind developers are taking the initiative for that development, and it'll be probably about 1,000 new people there. And it's going to really change the impact of that neighborhood there for walking, commercial, and so on. But it's going to affect the schools too.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any other new project?
The college has that going on. And as we say, and Bertini's lot, where they have 4 or 5 buildings going up, and we're saying right now that traffic is going to be so horrendous there that how is an ambulance going to be able to get out, because there's going to be gridlock?
That's why Cataldo wants to move down to the Crescent Lot area and build there near the HMA car wash that was there, Ferris Junkyard, the 2 buildings that are already up now already. Cataldo Ambulance Service that handles Salem in the area is moving down to the overpass, North Salem.
But the drawback is, though, that's all well and good for them, but when they have to go pick someone up in some part of Salem, to then bring them to the hospital, I mean, it doesn't help wherever they park. It doesn't matter.
They're on Jefferson Avenue. They're right behind the Eastern Savings Bank, the new dental place. And they're behind there, so they got a traffic jam there too.
Right. Yeah. So what I'm just saying is that when you have gridlock, it doesn't matter where you start off from. You still have gridlock. And again, everything we're doing here in Salem is, in effect, is designed to increase gridlock. I mean, obviously that's not why they're designing it, but that's the effect of it.
It's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen when those new buildings being in effect.
Now, just in terms of differences of city governments or town governments, it was announced in the paper in the past few days or past couple of weeks that Hamilton, or the Greenbelt something, is buying 66 acres in Hamilton to take it off the market so it cannot be developed. The city of Peabody, when Rousselot, which was, I mean, most people know it as Eastman Gelatin, which was part of Polaroid or Kodak rather, when they sold theirs, the city bought a bunch of it. It's like 100 and something acres, most of which is being taken off the market, so that there would not be these big expanses of projects. And in Salem, we're taking every little postage stamp and putting a 5-story building on it. I just don't see the good that can come of that.
And Peabody bought Brooksby Farm to make it a farm, keep it a farm, Brooksby Farm, which is really a gold mine for Peabody to have that. So we need to keep that in mind for the future of Salem, future generations.
Yeah, we just, again, there's just, again, how much more housing can you put here? And why, and again, it gets back to why are we spending $500 million for a school, not the entire school system, a school. It's just mind-boggling to me.
Well, down
I can't
there,
stop talking about it.
the Bentley School area that they're building down there,
Yeah.
where are they going to park?
They're parking underneath Lee Fort Terrace. Is that Lee Fort Terrace? Down by the Willows, down by the Bentley School, and the condominiums across the street in Collins Cove. That's a private agency handling that with the cooperation of the Salem Housing Authority, and that's going to be all our age, senior citizens. And the senior citizens that were living there in Lee Fort Terrace before are living now at Salem Heights near you.
Right.
And they'll be, if they want to, they can move back.
Okay.
And it's 4 floors, and the parking will be down below, and it's built really, really high.
Is there enough parking?
Yes.
Okay, that's the key thing. I mean, if they're building enough parking, at least that's one of the issues. It still doesn't help traffic, but at least it helps parking.
The residents came out strong for parking around that neighborhood. They don't want parking in front of their own homes, the single-family homes
Yeah,
in that neighborhood.
again, why would you?
But is that Memorial Park, I mean, is that protected like a playground down there or not?
That's his playground, but that was all that was SESD land back in the 40s and 50s. And we built the school on top of that, Bentley School. And we built Lee Fort Terrace on that. And we built the playground on that. And we have
When you say
tank there.
You used initials. What was that initial stand for? You used the SCD.
Yeah, Southeast Sewage District.
Oh, okay.
Southeast Sewage. That was part of sewage waste down in that area.
Okay.
Contaminated. And we capped that over for the Bentley School.
And then
Lee Fort Terrace.
and then we built the treatment plant.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Have they finished moving Pioneer Village over to Nomcake?
That went out to bid. And it's going to be torn down, taken down, Pioneer Village at Forest River Park. We take it down sometime early spring by barge, moved by barge, amazing, over to Camp Nomcake, as you speak, near the Salem Willows. It'll be an ideal site higher than the floodplain situation. It will have a longer lifespan there than it would at Forest River Park. It's going to flood in. Forest River Park, that area will flood in with a major storm. So they're going to move it this spring. They put it out for bid. The neighbors have been informed about this process being taking place. So by next spring, I think that'll be rebuilt there on Camp Nomcake.
See,
The Camp Nomcake is moving over where Pioneer Village is.
No, Camp Nomcake will be torn down.
So Camp
Yeah,
Nomcake
yes,
is going to
but
disappear? you mean?
Disappear.
Okay, so Camp
It's
Nomcake.
no longer of any
What do
value.
you mean, it's going to be non-existent?
Yeah.
The Pioneer Village, the entire Pioneer Village, it's down by Forest River Park.
Nomcake, I know, but I thought they were swapping spots.
No.
I thought
There's no
Nomcake-
use for Camp Nomcake. It's falling apart. I think we've all been there over the years in different functions, outside and inside. And the YMCA took it over for a camp for a couple of summers. It is
Well, I realize
not
that's what I was
habitable.
getting to.
So they're going to salvage some of the wood at Camp Nomcake, some of the cabins, and use it for this development for Pioneer Village. But most of what we know as Camp Nomcake will no longer be there. It will be recycled into Pioneer Village.
Well, I don't understand. How does the Salem Y, it's a business, take over? Isn't Forest River a playground?
They help with the pool, the
Oh, wait,
Forest River
don't
pool,
talk about that.
lifeguards, and so on. It's an
$15
ideal place for the
million.
YMCA.
Yeah, the thing is this, it's all these public-private partnerships that just
Exactly.
happen all the time, and we wonder, we question again the transparency of them. I mean, remember, at one point in time, the YMCA was a very low-cost way of exercise, and you'd have, I know in Lynn, I had a couple uncles who lived in housing inside the YMCA, which they used to have in Salem as well.
So
And that was, what it, was. It was, single, this was, after World War II, this sort of went away. I mean, just like a rooming house. The rooming houses, there were always lots of rooming houses, and they went away. It almost sounds like they're in effect, putting a rooming house back in at, what the heck was it called? You were just talking about a project earlier.
Mayfair Terrace, maybe?
No, the one they had, where the Jerry's is.
Yes.
Right, they're putting in these micro things.
Micro units.
I mean, that's micro units. I mean, that's like the old, rooming
YMCA.
house.
Yeah,
rooming
sure.
house.
So Beverly had a YMCA with housing there too.
Yeah. So so it's sort of full circle in a way.
But the Young Men's Christian Association used to be looked upon by some of your churches, especially the Catholic Church, that they felt that Catholics should not belong to the YMCA. And now it's still the Young Men's Christian Association, but I don't understand. I watch the Salem Y right now. They have full reign of Forest River completely and entirely, and now you're saying Nomceg is not being swapped over. It's
Pioneer
going to be
Village is being swapped
non-existent.
over to Camp Nomceg.
There's no swap. There's going to be Pioneer Village is going to be moved to where Camp Nomceg
I understand
was,
that.
and Camp Nomceg has outlived its usefulness.
Yes, exactly.
And that was managed by the Y, Camp Nomceg, right?
Yes.
Okay, and they're managing Forest River Park, and so therefore they've decided there's no reason to move Nomceg, the houses and stuff over there, because it's just some buildings.
Nomceg has a history.
But what is it? And what is
the idea that they came and they landed there and everything right down the line.
Yeah, and again, this I just think Pioneer Village is a good fit for where Camp Nomceg was.
But I didn't think it was going to be wiped off the map.
But it wasn't anything. It hasn't been anything for many years.
But it was used primarily by the Girl Scouts. That's what they were there for years and years.
Okay.
And then the Y leased because they wanted a place to have their camp.
Right.
That's recently that they did
right, but again,
that.
but they don't need that anymore because they use Forest River Park for their camp.
But
right?
you can't wipe away history. Nomceg has history.
That's why they're trying to
this is like
incorporate some
saying,
part
what
of
do we
it.
do? Put it up in Rowley with the stuff from the Essex Institute? Yeah.
But they're trying very hard to incorporate Camp Nomceg, as you remember those good days, into the new Pioneer Village. So they'll try to do like a marriage, to use some of that wood and structure and grounds, paths and everything. I saw some of the work. It's going to be amazing what's going to be done. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is this, Pioneer Village, where it's located, is very much underutilized.
Exactly.
And I believe being at the Willows will make that far more utilized, and I believe it's far more important from a historical standpoint than is what the remnants of Camp Nomceg, which was basically a hangout for kids in the summertime, and again, particularly since we've now revamped. But I mean, again, that's just my opinion on there. I mean, that's the thing, and I know obviously you feel differently, TC.
No, because I feel as if what they're doing is wrong, and I feel that the history of the city of Salem is being trampled upon.
Yeah. But it was, again, I mean, basically it hasn't really been used other than
because they did not do what they should have been doing.
Okay.
If they really and truly wanted, if the spot is worthwhile, people go to it.
Right, but again, you said it was used, primarily by the Girl Scouts, or to a large extent.
Nomceg.
Nomceg was used primarily by the Girl Scouts. Well, again, they just haven't been using it in years. And that has nothing to do with the city of
But it
Salem.
was like a conservation place, and it was being used. You know how you say that some of these cities and towns are setting aside
Yeah.
conservation land?
Yeah.
Well, I know personally, we have had 3 or 4 family reunions
Yeah.
where we paid big money to have the Y. I mean, to have the nom cake
Okay,
and to be able
again,
to use it.
I mean, I've gone to it many times, but it was always a political fundraiser.
Exactly.
Or a political
Fun.
picnic or whatever.
Yeah,
But it was never a private function. Well, private function, I guess, in a way, because it is rented by a candidate. So
But it was
private.
public. It was public.
Right. Yeah.
I know that we administration
Yeah.
that was chafing its bit. They would love to have had to put that on as real estate and sell it.
Right. Yeah. Again, but that's not happening because it's going to be Pioneer Village now. So
That was
I
a
think-
place that the Youth Service Administration thought maybe a council on aging should be there in that area.
Yeah.
That was one of the choices,
Yeah, I
a council on
remember
aging. Now it's going to be Pioneer Village there. So it's going to be a whole new rebirth of that area.
I think Pioneer Village will have a slow death.
It's been on bare life support for 40 years, as far as I can,
Because the trolleys don't want to go down there. It's not lucrative for the
Right,
trolleys.
particularly with traffic.
Traffic.
That's the key thing. In other words, if it's at Willows, they're going down the Willows already. They're going to drop people off and pick them up there. I just really think it's going to be a very good revitalization of Pioneer
And the
Village.
trolley goes down to Winter Island. It circles back to Camp Knobkick.
Yeah.
So it'd be an ideal site.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And again, Camp Knobkick has not been being used, and for whatever reason, again, over my past bunch of years, it's only been used for political fundraisers in the summertime. Yeah.
That's right.
For mayoral candidates, typically, that's the only one big enough to
That's right.
that would have enough money to throw a thing there. But okay, so we only have a couple minutes left here, and
If I may share some good news,
sure.
if I may.
Oh, yes,
may-
that's
some
right,
good
Tom.
news.
I apologize that
No.
I meant to jump to
No,
you in
that-
the beginning, and then TC came in with her thing about Joan Lovely's sister.
To share some good news. A year ago this time, Mayor Dominic Pengello picked on Halloween night a ticket, and the winning ticket got, at a raffle, a trip to anywhere in the world for 2. Anywhere in the world for 2 for 3 days. A dinner included and everything else. So after 30 years of trying and putting $100 worth of chances in over 30 years for the Salem Education Foundation that gives small grants to school system, very good group. Ben Allender runs it. He's really a Mr. Salem, Ben Allender, and John Keenan had it before, president of Salem
Yes,
State
he was,
University.
yeah.
So for 30 years, I've been trying to help out. $100, good. It's an investment like the stock market. So I won. So people around me said, "Oh, Tom, you're going to go to Ireland or go to Irish." So I said, "No. My 2 Cambodian sons are going to Cambodia."
Good.
So they went to Cambodia for 8 days, and they just got back on Sunday. They went to Cambodia. It took 25 hours to go to Cambodia, 25 hours to come back, and they asked me very proudly. I'm very proud. I'm going to go meet them tonight for supper after us for supper and talk about the trip. They said, "Please, Tom, please, Dad, go. We'll have a fun time." But 25 hour, I'm 77 years old, and I said, "No, thank you. You go and enjoy yourself."
Yeah.
They visited Phnom Penh, the capital. They visited prison camps from the killing fields. They visited Angkor Wat, the very famous Buddhist temple.
Yeah.
And they spent quality time with his brothers. One is 38,
Yeah.
all grown up, very handsome. The other one is 32, biological brothers, Cambodian.
Yeah.
They're better looking than I am, and smarter, thank God. And they just got back, and they won that raffle to go to Cambodia. One of my sons, who's 38, lived in a refugee camp when he was born in Cambodia for 3 whole years, 45,000 refugees. Picture the population of Salem.
Right.
He learned
all living in a refugee.
all living in a refugee camp for 3 years. He learned the Khmer language, Khmer writing at an early age. They moved to Los Angeles, Lowell, come to Lynn. You can have 9 kids in Lynn, 9 kids in Cambodia, but you can't have 9 kids in Lynn. So I got 2 of them. And it turned out wonderful. So I always believed the whole purpose was to encourage foster care or adoption. I'm the proud recipient. It was the best personal decision, professional decision in my life to go into adoption, foster care,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And I got the opportunity, a trip of a lifetime, a blessing. I wanted to send them to Cambodia when they got married. And here I got a winning ticket, and they just got back. I will see them tonight after meeting now, and I'm very excited. They went to Cambodia, renewed their Buddhism, their faith, and it's amazing. If I hope it will change their lives. So all part of the Salem Education Foundation. So thanks for the opportunity.
Okay.